writing a business plan.
Okay, this is good. So you're seeing the workshop, writing a business plan, my slides?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Nechodomu, and I am the owner behind the Bread Box, and I'm also on the board of the Cottage Food Producers Association. Give me for clearing my throat a bunch, trying to clean it out with some coffee, but in the Twin Cities with this air quality index that we had for the last couple of days, I am recovering from a serious bout of some asthma. And so today is actually the first day that my head hasn't been in the clouds. And so I feel awake, and that's great, but forgive me if I clear my throat a bit. Anyway, so this is the final session for our conference, and it is a workshop session, meaning that it is a session that you're going to be involved in, and you're actually going to do some work. And the work that you're doing is putting together and learning about writing a business plan. I did eventually decide to create a subtitle for this presentation. And before I put it up, I want you to read it in the voice of like a 4-year-old, or in my case, a 44-year-old. And it goes something like this. And I just want to bake. Yes, it should sound whiny. Some of you people love doing things like business plans and documents and finances. And other people like me, I just want to bake. So I just want to throw that out there so you don't feel alone if that's the way you feel. But I am going to talk about why it's important that we spend time on a business plan and how it actually can kind of be exciting. And in our specific context today, why it's actually quite timely to work on a business plan, especially right now at the end of our conference. So right before we went on break, a lot of conversation was mentioned about how we have, overload and tons of information and our brains are going crazy. Well, I put together a short list of the 3 different types of people that I think we probably have in our group right now. So the first group of people we probably have are the ones that are a little dazed, a little confused. They're just kind of like, huh? What? And so for those of you, we welcome you to the session. There's another group of you that are a little bit more dramatic, and it's okay if you feel this way, but you are on day 2 of a panic attack. There's a lot going on. And you, as a group, we welcome you to the session. For a third group, bring it on. You're empowered, you're excited, and you're ready. And so for you, the third group of people, welcome to the session. Now, if you are not one of these 3 people, you are still welcome in this session, but hopefully you'll probably fit in one of these. So the way I just want to start this is a good old mental health break. Now, you don't have to inhale, you don't have to breathe, but if you want to, you're more than welcome to, because all this builds into the reason why we are actually talking about a business plan right now. So while you do some breathing, I just want to real quickly overview what we've learned here in the last 2 days, really. Okay, and I'm not doing this to overwhelm you. I'm doing this to help you understand and see just how much information we have taken in, and to think about how we can use all this information in this session. So we started off with Matt Rosine, amazing presenter, amazing story, how you can start with cottage foods and turn into something bigger. And in his case, do something really unique in that he keeps his cottage food license while also being able to do wholesale and retail type of stuff. We had Jen talking about product labeling, the confusion, and yet the very specific details about that. We had Kurt talking to us about getting our businesses potentially into commercial kitchens. Kathy talked to us a ton about amazing information about cottage foods, about farmers markets, about products of the farm. Michelle talked to us about social media and about her journey and the importance for us to use social media in our own businesses. Lolly talked to us about some really cool stuff about being able to work with somebody to figure out what our product health was, what some of the nutrition facts are, some of that, and knowing that there's companies out there that we can contract with and work with to create projects to learn more about our products. Megan talked to us about legislation and where we want to move forward as a community within the state of Minnesota and up on the Hill. We had our member meeting, which was a really great way of summarizing what's happened last year. We all learned a lot, and we're excited about ways that we're going to be able to change for the next year in the way we report, in the way we work together with our community and committees and branching out. Today, we got started off by John, which was an amazing presentation that kind of took some of what happened yesterday and took it to another level. So this idea that Kurt had about where we can go with cottage food into commercial kitchens and what Matt talked about on his transition to commercial kitchens, John really gave us a very practical way of knowing and seeing how we did and how we can move into a commercial kitchen here locally. Lindsay talked about copyrights, not only copyrights on what we can use, but copyrights on how we can copyright some of our own stuff. Pam got into tax stuff, taxes and bookkeeping. That also falls into the I just want to bake category for me, but it's still really good for us to have. We then had Maureen, or actually the backup, or can't remember her name now, to talk to us about the extension, food education stuff going on, water activity levels, the research that's going on. We also had then Alita talking to us about MDA, what's going on with that. And now you're with me. So this is a lot of stuff. And it's a lot of real information. And usually at the end of a conference like this, you'll have a session that says, let's sit down and summarize. Let's sit down and write together our action plans. You know, what are our takeaways? And the truth is, that's a perfect segue into business plans, because a business plan is really, well, let's see, it's a blueprint. It is an opportunity to carefully think through every corner of your business so that you know who you are and are better prepared to handle any challenges that come your way. As a quick side note, because of the way that my presentation is being put up, I don't have, I can't see the chat or anything like that. So if you have any questions, if somebody could just interrupt them when they seem relevant, I'm totally cool with that. So the business plan is a blueprint. It's this opportunity for sit down and take a look at our business from this lens, with very high level or really detailed if we wanted to. So this session, I feel, is a perfect opportunity for us to think about everything we've learned and be able to summarize it in a way that we need to anyway as small business owners through a business plan. So think about this session as an opportunity to put down on paper everything that you've learned and to summarize it, but also be able to put together an integral part of your business so that you can have that solid plan moving forward. Now, a lot of people use business plans for different reasons. Some people use them as a startup thing to help them really better understand who they are, where they're going, you know, and what do I believe in? What's my product? Other people use business plans for well, trying to get income or trying to get investment opportunities. And so those are two really different ways of needing an overview or a blueprint of your business. And so I kind of want to address this in a way that meets each individual's needs, rather than trying to give you a cookie cutter situation that we're going to work through together. Here's why. I got 3 slides here that are going to show you what different ideas are of what's in a business plan. And you're going to see that they are very different ideas. This list here I actually took from John earlier today, because I thought he had a really cool list there. And that was the, what is your why? What is your secret power? What is your goal for the business? And what do you know you need to do, but you haven't? These are really good high level points to try to cover, or sections to cover in a business plan. Another list of sections: company overview, product overview, customer overview, marketing overview, financial overview, and milestones, or ways you know that you were successful. And yet another idea for a business plan would be, where are you? Where do you want to be? What do you need to get there? So I want each one of you to start thinking a little bit about what you feel that your business needs right now. And what from everything we've learned over the last day and 2 days, what from that can you use to put into a plan? And what we want to work on today is for sure putting together an overview of, we're going to do a little bit of a hybrid of all of these, but I want you to think about the where are you, but also in the context of what is your company and what is your product. And I want that to also think about your why. Why are you a company? Why are you a product? What is your secret power and your goal? But also, who is that customer and how are you going to market out to them? And also then, where do you want to be with this? You see how I'm just kind of pulling it all together? This is going to be something that you can all pull together yourselves. And I'm going to give you a lot of good resources for doing this. Ultimately, what we want to do at the end is make sure that you also know where you want to go. And what are your milestones? How do you know that you've been successful? How do you know that you need to move forward? And what do you know that you need to do, but you haven't done yet? And what are the resources you need to be able to do it? If you were to Google business plan or Google business plan template, you're going to come up with a lot of interesting stuff, like a lot. Everybody's going to try to sell you a template. Everybody's going to try to sell you resources. Everybody's going to try to show you what the best one is. Everybody's going to show you the top 10 of whatever. Don't let it overwhelm you. A business plan is really unique to you and your business. It is not something that has to be done a specific way. There are different types of business plans, and this is just 3 really basic ones. So there are full business plans. Those are a lot of the ones that people are thinking about for like getting funding or trying to get grants and that sort of thing, where they need to go into a lot of great detail. There's lean business plans that are like 1-page documents that are just really a quick high-level overview of all of those different points. And then there's executive summaries, which are a little bit more on the full plan side, but are a more hashing out of the full plan in a lean form. What I'm going to focus a little bit more today on is the middle one, the one on the lean business plan. And I want us to think about the lean business plan as really, like I said earlier, a way of us being able to kind of summarize what we have been learning so far in the last 2 days, but then also put together something that we can use moving forward. So it is at this point that I'm going to switch. And can you still see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, and here's a
Are you
funny.
seeing my cursor moving around?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Yes. And I'm going to give you a funny right now.
Huh?
I'm going to give you a funny right now while you're navigating. Amy Kemp says her plan is to give me some money so I can make you some cookies.
Okay. I actually like that one because I'm kind of feeling my way right now too. It's like, I'm like, I just need money so I can make bread. Okay. I'm going to share a link out in the chat to this Google Drive folder that you see me in right now. I'll give you a second to get out there. You should see 5 documents out there. And I'm going to basically be walking through this stuff and the tabs that I have open currently throughout the rest of this session. Mainly what I'm going to use to start with is this resources doc.
Tom, will you send these? Will you email these what the files that we use to me, just so in case anybody can't download them or anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, I will do that. Do you want me to do that right away, or can I do that after the session?
Do it next week.
Okay. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar with Google Drive, this is it's a cloud-based drive right now. I'm giving you access to a folder called Writing a Business Plan, MNCFPA Conference 2023. In there are 5 docs. I'm going to be using this resources one that I'm hovering over right now as like a main kind of like a table of contents for the rest of what we're going to work on together. And these 4 other docs are actually templates that I have downloaded already and put into the folder that you will have the ability to look at and potentially use as we move forward into the workshop portion where you will create your own business plan. Everybody has view access to this folder, meaning that you can't make changes to this folder, but you can download anything you want here onto your own computer. And to download it, all you need to do is just hover over whichever one you want and just right click and say download. And it'll download that document to whatever device you're on, and you should be able to work on it then. I'm going to go into this resources piece here. Real quickly down here, this DIY section at the bottom is just a listing of those 3 very high level business plan sections that I addressed just a minute ago in the actual slide deck. I put these out here because if anybody was inspired by any of these just 3 basic lists and isn't as inspired by some of the templates I downloaded, you can easily copy and paste one of these sets of questions into another document and just work off of that if you want to. Like I said, this is all based off of what you need. Mary Jo, I do not follow Chris. I'll have to check into them. Okay, so real quickly, small business resources. These are some of my favorite resources. There are a lot of them out there. So do not feel like you have to use these. But this is not exhaustive, but I think these are some of the strongest ones out there. The US Small Business Administration, the SBA, is a fantastic website and organization that is out there to help small businesses get started. There are resources out there like writing business plan templates that you see down in my templates section. But there's a lot of other good stuff out there about legal things or contracting or financials. Remember, a lot of these small business resources are for all small businesses, not just cottage food. Matter of fact, most of them, with the exception of the bottom, are non-cottage food specific. So you're going to see a lot of stuff out there for all different types of businesses. So take and use what you need. A little bit more locally, we've got the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. And we had a presentation earlier today, I think it was by Pam, that was from SBDC. And so here's the website for that you can go to. You'll also hear me talk a lot about SCORE. I love SCORE. SCORE is like the coolest, the best. SCORE is known by SCORE. They go by SCORE. I've been loving SCORE for almost 3 years now. And just today, I was like, what the heck does SCORE even stand for? Because like even their website doesn't make it very clear. So if in case anybody's wondering, because I give acronyms for everything else, SCORE, the original name for SCORE, was the Service Corps of Retired Executives. That's from 1964 when they first started. It was literally a group of retired executives that wanted to make their experience available to other small business owners through mentorship programs and education. Over a while, the name Service Corps of Retired Engineers, or I'm sorry, Executives kind of became a name that's too long and everything. So they actually just turned it to SCORE and left it as SCORE. So SCORE has not only a national level, score.org, but also has a local branch called SCORE Twin Cities. For those that are not in the Twin Cities, twincitiescore.org is still a really great resource because a lot of what they do is actually virtual. These 2 resources, I tell you, give you so much amazing free resources and training. I highly recommend going to the SCORE Twin Cities website and signing up for their regular email updates and newsletters that tell you about the different classes that they are offering. These are webinars that are usually anywhere from, an hour to 2 hours long max. A lot of them they try to do over the lunch period so people can take them during work. And like I said, they're all free and they're very, very valuable, lots of information. I don't know if I've ever gone to one yet that I haven't walked away feeling like I just sat through a whole college course. They also have a mentorship program that can hook you up with local mentors. You get to tell them what you want in a mentor and what kind of business you have, and they try to match you up with somebody. I've yet to take advantage of that program. I want to say that I have heard of some people who have, but I haven't really talked with anybody in detail about what their experience has been. So if anybody has worked with a SCORE mentor and cares to share in the chat or out loud, definitely let us know. And then a newer resource that I found recently is called Philosophy of Yum. And this is a gal in, I think, South Africa that has created an amazing program for people who want to start a bakery. And so I'm going to show you some of these resources here now, so you don't have to go through all of them. And I'm going to start with, why don't I show you this, the resources for the Philosophy of Yum, or yeah. Now you do have to sign up for her free resources by giving her your email. I did choose to do that because I wanted to look at the resource library. Now I won't be discussing any of these today because they're fairly new to me and they're really, really robust. But she has full bakery business plan templates, business roadmaps, calculators for creating pricing, finding your niche, weekly planners, how to build better habits, how to become more confident, even some recipes for stuff, how to make your business stand out. We're talking about some really interesting things out here. And the truth is, I wish I would have found this resource sooner so that I could better tell you what these are like and how they work. But I'm going to dig into these more over time. And maybe we can even put together a webinar at some point, or if they're really that great, maybe even try to contact her, Aurelia, to see if she could come talk to us or something. But this is a resource that is untapped yet, and I don't have the ability to tell you much about. But we'll set that one out there and let people take a look at it. But I'm going to bring you some now to these other templates and show you a little bit about them. I'm going to give a really quick, I have to feel like I have to confess something to everybody before I dig into this too much. I do not currently have a very clear business plan. I wrote a business plan when I started my company about 2 years ago. It was on paper, and I don't know where it is. I wrote a second business plan last year, and it was toward the beginning of the year. It was a social media business plan. I thought it was pretty good. For those of you who know me in social media, I didn't really do the best at following. So here I am opening up the beginning of my third year of business, and I have never actually created a digital business plan. There's a lot of it is up in my head, and I have a very strong understanding of what my business is. But I really haven't spent all the time that I should putting it out on paper. So you're getting this today from somebody who needs this as much as a lot of other people probably need it. Here's the SBA website. One of the reasons I like this website the most is because they really threw out some great information about why a business plan is important. But then, unlike a lot of the other business plan template sites that I found, right up at the very beginning, they admitted that you don't have to go into a super detailed traditional business plan. They give you with this lean startup idea right from the get-go. This is not as common to find. Matter of fact, to find a lean startup plan is a little bit difficult if you're doing Google searches. Everybody wants to give you these really deep ones. So the lean one, I thought, was a really fantastic way to get started. just going to go through some of these overviews of, so for the traditional one, they were talking about doing executive summaries, company descriptions, market analyses, organization and management, service or product line, marketing, sales, funding requests, financial projections, and even appendices. There is an example that you can download, but it is a pretty robust example. A lot of these sections can be very overwhelming for people. That's why I really like this idea of the lean startup. What are your partnerships, your activities, your resources, value? Some of these go into feeling like, okay, this is really seems deep as well. But when you take a look at the main example, this is the one that's downloaded. You got the wooden grain toy company. This is the idea behind a lean business plan. It is a single page. That is all. It's just some square boxes in a grid. And each one is really only about a sentence, maybe max 2 sentences each. And what is it? Basically, who is your company? What's the problem that you're trying to deal with and the solution? Who's your target market? Do you have any competition? Where are you going to get your money from? How are you going to market yourself? What is your team? What are your expenses? And what are your milestones for moving forward? I kind of took advantage of looking at this earlier, and I ended up breaking down, I got nerdy and started breaking it down into like different sections and everything. And I realized that there's a good overview with this identity and solution. There's a good hustling, as some people call it, between marketing, and figuring out your revenue and your expenses is a good way of looking at your finances. This is a good one, I think, and a really great way potentially for some people to start working today on something. So that was the SBA stuff. I just want to show you the SCORE business plan website. This one has a template you can download as well, and I'll show it to you in a second. This one, I really like the way the SCORE website puts together listing it, rather than giving the direct sections. It's actually talking to you more about what the business plan can do for you. So the way SCORE outlines it is the business plan helps you discover weaknesses in your business so that you can address them before you get started. Takes a look at opportunities and lets you expand on those opportunities that you may not have actually thought about. Gives you the opportunity to analyze your market, not necessarily as who your competition is, but knowing just what's out there and how you fit in. You're going to see a lot of this whole competition as a theme with business plans and stuff. I personally have a real problem with the competition thing, because when I got started, I thought about it as competition. And I went out and did an analysis, and I looked at all bakeries in my area. And when I started thinking about it as competition, it got very, very discouraging. And I found myself almost giving up before I had even started. I don't like this idea of competition. Cottage food producers, working at a farmer's market, all this kind of stuff. People say that you're a family, and the truth is you are. And you have to work off of each other's strengths. If you think about going into a farmer's market or going into the industry as putting something on a shelf at a grocery store and competing over which cookies are going to be best that people are going to want to buy, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot before you're done. Before you even started, I mean. So think not about your competition, think not about yourself competing. Instead, think about what is your product and why is it so good and so interesting or so unique that other people are going to want it. Think about who you are and strengthening who you are, and think about how you can tell people about why they want what you have and why what you have should be a part of their lives. Yeah, competition is important. Competition is something that's part of being in business. There's nothing you can do to get around that. But if you let competition be the very foundation of how you analyze your market or how you analyze who you are as a business, then you're going to run into a lot of pitfalls where you're going to lose confidence in yourself. So people say I'm a Pollyanna. And so I look at the good well before I look at the bad. So that's just my personal take on the competition concept. But analyzing your market is important because you want to know what's out there and you want to see what other people are doing. because seeing what other people are doing and what's successful in the area gives you an idea of what people are wanting. And it also tells you what there are in the means of gaps out in the field that you might be able to fill. Now the product business plans help you put together strategies. They do help you potentially, find new partners, new customers, funding, and that sort of stuff. It makes you sit down and calculate. It makes you sit down and think. And that's the part where I get back to, but I just want to think. But you do have to sit down and think about this stuff. And then determine your target market and how to reach them. Who are my customers? So this one has a really good summary, but it is a very long template. This one is out in the resources. It is this one right here. You'll see it is a good one. It is, of course, co-hosted by Deluxe, but it is long. There's even confidentially stuff in there. Look at this table of contents. It's great. It's really great, but it is a lot of stuff. I would highly recommend that nobody starts with this one today, just because I think you'll get yourself exhausted and overwhelmed before you even get past the table of contents. Other than maybe if you want to take this company description worksheet, because this one matches a lot of the lean stuff. Who am I? What is my mission? What are the core values of my business? What's my market? What are my goals? Another resource that I have listed out here is something called the $100 Startup. Now, I don't know much about this guy. If you go to his home or just about him, it'll talk about, this guy, Chris, started up. Oh, wait a second, Chris, I just realized that's who you're talking about, Mary Jo.
Yeah, exactly.
I had never connected the name because I was like,
oh, yeah,
I don't know this guy. I don't know this person. But yeah,
okay. I've been following him for years.
Have you really? Okay. Have you worked with his business plan?
No, I have not. I wasn't even aware that there was one.
So
I get his newsletter. I've read all his books. I even met him in person in Tampa. I made cupcakes for him. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, I will say he has a resources page that has several quick downloadable resources, and one of them is the one-page business plan.
Yeah.
This is one that I have actually put out here. It is a cool one. I like it. It's very aggressive. It's very clean. It's kind of fun. So you got your overview. What are you going to sell? Who's going to buy it? And how is it going to help other people? I love that. The ka-ching, what are you going to charge? How are you going to get paid? How else are you going to make money?
Right.
The hustle, how your customers know about your business and how can you encourage them to refer other people? Success. This is something that I really like that I don't see in other business plans. This project will be successful when it achieves these markets or these metrics. Are there number of customers, certain net income? What are your milestones? How are you going to know and how are you going to feel? What's it going to take for you to feel like you have succeeded? And then obstacles and challenges. This one's difficult. Sometimes you're not going to know what they are, but I really like this one. Matter of fact, I would say if I was going to recommend one or two of the business plans to start off with today, I would either recommend this one, the one-page business plan, or I would recommend this sample lean. Something that I will throw in here real quickly as a little side note to the success thing. Something that I set up for myself as a business right up from the very beginning is I didn't want myself to ever feel too comfortable in what I was doing. This is my income. It is not a side gig. It is what is paying the rent. And it takes a lot of work to be able to do that. But I also know that it needs to expand. It needs to change every year. I can't get stagnant. And so something I set up for myself every year is that each calendar year, I want to make sure that I do at least one thing that makes me truly uncomfortable when it comes to my business. The first year that I started in 2021, the first thing that I did that made me truly uncomfortable was opening my business on May 1st and starting my first farmer's market on, I think it was May 16th. I had decided in March of that year to start a business. So my first uncomfortable decision was open up and get in a farmer's market. Just do it. It was a great year. My second year, my thing to be uncomfortable was to get started at a Twin Cities farmer's market, which had a goal then of, I wanted to make sure that I doubled my weekly income by going to a market that was going to be considerably larger than the one that I started with. And I did do that with a 2-week notice from the market manager. And I ended up tripling my income by going to a Twin Cities market. It was incredibly uncomfortable. It hurt to have to up my production. I lost a lot of sleep. I had to completely change marketing. I had to change packaging, even change the way that I did my display. But it was uncomfortable and it made me grow, and it was really cool. And I ended up throwing in a third unexpected uncomfortable by signing up to do a very, very large holiday bake sale at the Union Depot in downtown St. Paul. Matter of fact, John talked about that earlier today. And that's where I met him. His wife was there doing her help me. What was she doing again? Her macarons. There we go.
Yeah.
And there's 5,000 people who come to that bake sale, and we're 7 hours. It was ridiculous. I don't know why I did it. I'm glad I did it. It was insane. Will I do it again? Hell yeah. But it was really uncomfortable because I have never had to bake like that before. So having some kind of an idea of what your success is really important. And putting it into your plan to keep you alive, to keep you engaged, I think is really good. I haven't figured out my make you uncomfortable for 2023 yet. I'm kind of scared to figure it out. Now, the last resource that I want to show you is from Homemade for Sale. Now, this is, you guys should all probably recognize Lisa Kiverist, who is in charge of the conference that we're talking about earlier, the Home-Based Food Entrepreneurial Virtual National Conference. She is also the author of Homemade for Sale, one of the cookbooks that we primarily use for showing recipes that are cottage food appropriate. Now, mind you, this is in Wisconsin. And so just like the Texas cookbook, there's no guarantee that every recipe will be necessarily to our standards, but Lisa is amazing, and her husband, John, in the cottage food field and just industry. She, on her website, has a business plan template called Back of a Napkin Business Plan Template. Honestly, I love the name of this one. It is the perfect way of putting like the lean concept, because what are you doing? You're literally scribbling it down on the back of a napkin. So she's got it here. I actually put it out into the Google Drive as well. And you can go in and actually fill in the pieces. I will show it to you here. So this is one in Google Drive. It's wonderful because she gives you each of the sections and then a quick example of how short and clear it could be. And it's a plan for her in her cottage food business in Serendipity Fresh Baked. She and her husband have a bed and breakfast, and they wanted to start selling some of their products at it. And so they got involved with cottage food. So it's just, what is your business? What are your projects? What's your objective for selling? Who is your market? Who are your main customers? Who are some of your secondary customers? What's your special niche? And then position statement is kind of interesting. Like, how are you going to appeal to your customers? How are you going to try to pique their interest? Where are you going to sell? What are your startup expenses? What are your fixed? Now, these two down here, startup and fixed. If you're brand new to this, you probably aren't going to know this yet, but that's okay. A business plan is not a static document. A business plan is a living document. Now, I'd highly recommend, just because you put it together this year, doesn't mean that you can't and shouldn't come back the following year and over to take a look at how it evolves and how it changes. So that's kind of my general spiel when it comes to the concept of a business plan. and the types of business plans out there, the type of resources that are out there for business plans, and then narrowing down specifically on 3 smaller, more lean business plans that I think are a really great way for us today to start summarizing what we've learned over the last couple of days, while also creating a document that is absolutely integral to the success of our businesses. So what I want to encourage you to do now, it's 3:11, and we have this session basically for another hour and 15 minutes. We have a 2-hour session set down here. What I really want to do, because a good workshop always gives you several things to do, backed up by some quiet time to actually do it. And so usually the way the process goes is you'll have an introduction of this is what we want to work on here for the next 15 minutes or 10 minutes. Then we're going to give you that 10 minutes, 15 minutes to work on it, to write it, to figure it out. And then we're going to come back and do maybe a 5-minute summary where we'll say, hey, how'd it go for everybody? Any aha moments? And then we can move on. So we've got about an hour and 15 minutes left, and we're going to do several cycles of this. I think what I want to do is we'll start off by everybody kind of figuring out what kind of a template they want to do and how they want to approach this. So I think we're going to start, we're going to do just the first session of maybe, we'll say 10 minutes of everybody being able to decide what kind of template they want to put together, downloading or creating the template however you need to. So if that's creating a Word doc on your computer, or whether that's downloading one of the ones from the drive, we'll do that. And just getting yourself all pulled together. Now, I'll say 10 minutes to begin with this, but since this is kind of administrative and a decision, it may actually be done much faster. So what I'm going to say is for each one of these little rounds, when you get done with your piece and you feel like you're ready to kind of rejoin and everything, what I'm going to ask you to do is to raise your hand in your window. And that'll be a way for me to see if we've got a majority of the people that are ready to move on. So while I'll say we have 10 minutes for this section, if I see most of the hands raised after 5 minutes, then we'll pull out of it and we'll go into that. And then of course, when we get done, we'll have everybody lower their hands and then we'll move back on. I would not recommend using the, what do they call it? They call it like the emoji, or not the emoji, but like, it's like there's, you can either like raise your hand.
The reactions? The
reactions.
one? Okay.
Don't use a reaction, because you'll notice when you put a reaction up, it disappears after a short amount of time. And so instead do the raise your hand, because that'll actually stay up in the corner of your window until you choose to lower your hand again. That way we don't have to worry about somebody reacting and then me missing it because 30 seconds later it disappeared. So I'm going to back out of this so we can see everybody. I'm going to set a timer for 10 minutes. And what we'll do is this round is just to figure out what kind of a template you want to use. And a reminder, if you want, you can always just go to this resources page and just copy and paste one of these 3 sections. So figure out your template, get it all ready by downloading it and getting it ready for yourself. And then when you're ready, just go ahead and raise your hand. And then we will move on to the first writing piece. And I'm doing it with you. I'm not just sitting here drinking my coffee and putting my feet up. So I'll be figuring out which template I want to do, because I'm going to force myself to write this. We need to get this one of these done. So 10 minutes starts now. Also, if anybody has any questions during this time, feel free to put it out. But remember, again, this is a working time, so we don't want to, we'll leave some questions mostly for when we return back.
Hey, Tom, so I walked away for a minute. Can you tell me what am I supposed to be doing right now?
You're supposed to write a business plan in 10 minutes.
Sure, no problem. Okay, thank you.
No, you can go. Did you get the link for the,
Yeah.
Okay, go into there, figure out which template you want to use for this session. or you can use your own template, or you can use one of them from the resources. And all we're doing right now is just making a decision, downloading and getting it ready for you to write in, and then putting your hand up so I know that you're done, and then we'll go back in and do the writing itself.
I'm ready. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to throw out there too, you can always take pieces from multiple templates too. So if you choose a certain template, but like a section from another one, feel free to modify it and add it to your template. Make this business plan what you want it to be.
Tom, did you say we should fill this out?
No, for this one, you are just picking which template you want to do and downloading it so that
Okay.
you can start filling it out. Once you
Okay.
get it downloaded and everything and made a decision, go ahead and just raise your hand.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can't figure out how to raise my hand except in the reaction, so I'm raising my hand.
Oh,
Me neither.
okay. We've got about 3 minutes left.
Tom, I have a quick question.
Yes.
So for fixed expenses, are we going to list out our expenses for what we collect for jars and stuff? I sell salsa.
Yeah, that would be a fixed expense. That would be one of those expenses that falls over cost of goods sold. That was talked about earlier when we were talking about Pam, I think, was talking about like record keeping and bookkeeping and stuff. So cost of goods sold would be like your jars, your labels, lids, that sort of thing. For those of us like for bread, my bread bags, zip ties.
So that's what I would list out under my fixed expenses. Okay.
You could possibly group that together if you wanted to, because like fixed expenses are also going to have stuff like your insurance, farmers market fees, gas, that sort of thing. So you could possibly put that under like packaging. But that fixed expenses really is up to you to decide how detailed you want to get. Goodness gracious, that's loud. That was the timer, everybody. So not everybody has their hand up, but I hope that most people have been able to at least get downloaded some stuff. So before we get started, let's go ahead and lower our hands. And I am going to do a quick screen share to prove that I have indeed done mine. I chose to go, actually, this surprised me, but I chose to go with the one from Lisa Kiverist. I think the main reason is because I really liked this whole niche and positioning statement section, because I find that myself or my business, my positioning statement is something that's really important to who I am. So I really wanted to pull that in there, but that's where I've got so far. Does anybody else, what did anybody learn from this? Any questions about the ones you downloaded? Anybody want to make a comment about the reason they chose the one they did? And this is
Sorry,
open
which
conversation. You don't have to put it through chat.
Tom, which one did you choose?
I chose the one that under the back of a napkin business plan.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Which one did you use?
I actually did one with SCORE several years ago, so I'd probably
Okay.
just go back to that one, but I kind of like the one that was which one was it? The wood grain toy company one?
Yeah. Did anybody else choose the wood grain toy, the lean one?
I combined two. I took the $100 startup, the last two questions, and moved them to the back of the napkin one because I thought those challenge questions were a good thing to think through.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Any other comments on those?
I used the back of the napkin and then I removed startups since I've been making a farmer's market now for 3 years.
Okay, cool.
I really like the 1-page one. That's the one I selected.
Yeah.
It sort of feels like something that I could, like, this is almost like a New Year's resolution business plan for me to like,
Yep.
in 2023, what is my business going to look like?
Cool. Yeah, I'm in such a habit of doing that type of stuff in my head, but it's really important to get that written down because I think being able to create a new one every year and be able to look back, plus, I can tell people where I came from and what my business history is. It's easy to forget some of that stuff after a while. So I like that.
I also super dig a fillable PDF.
Yeah. Okay, you want to know the reason why I didn't like the lean one that's in a table format? Is because I knew that my OCD and anxiety would be irritated by the fact that I would be locked into writing only a certain amount to keep the boxes all the right sized, to stay on the same, see where my brain goes? So I was like, stay away from this one for your mental health, Tom. Choose one. It's going to expand as you write. So you see, everybody's got different reasons, I guess.
Well, we all know which person you are at the front of your PowerPoint video then.
Oh yeah. I'm like a mix of all three of them, actually. Depending
I
on the
can
time of
relate
day.
to that.
So, okay. So on that note, we are going to move on to the next piece, which is our actual first chunk of writing. Now, since everybody chose a different template, we're not going to be able to say, let's work on this heading, let's work on that heading. But I think what we've seen, and you could probably agree as we look through this, is there are some general sections. The main sections that I see are your business. So let me bring up, let me share my screen again and I'll show you mine. So it's stuff about the what about your business, who your business, what your business is. So like for this, for me, what I would probably write about would be like products, sales objective, markets, So there's questions about who your business is. Then there's a question about what your products are. And then there's questions about who your customers are. And so I kind of want us to focus on those three sections. Who is your business? What are your products? Who are your customers? We are also then going to so we'll probably do a fourth session then, fourth round, where we will then talk about kind of the rest of the pieces that get put in there. So like the finances, your goals, or how you've met success. So more of the, I don't want to say the administration, but the business running, the business admin side of things. So in the next hour, we'll break down into the four sections. First, what is my business? 2, what are my products? 3, who are my customers? And 4, how am I going to run this business? So for right now, we're just going to focus in on that first one, which is your business questions. Now, each one of you has chosen a different template or different pieces of a template. So it's going to be up to each person to decide which questions they feel fit into the general questions about their business. Knowing that you don't want to go too far because you'll have time to think about those other chunks that, in the later pieces. So for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to do another 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, identify the questions that pertain specifically to your business, and then spend a few minutes or the rest of that time writing out those answers to those questions. Again, if you finish in the less than 10 minutes, put your hand up so I can see that. And then if everybody's done by then, we'll stop early. If not, maybe we can even extend by a few minutes if more people are working on it. And then we'll come back and just do a couple minutes again of debrief and see what other people thought. So we'll start at 10 minutes now. Just as a heads up, we've got about 4 minutes left.
Nobody.
thought somebody tapping my shoulder and. Sorry. Didn't mean to bother you.
Our time is officially up, but I'm going to let people turn on their cameras and give me a head shake, nod kind of reaction to whether you think you're okay with moving on or not. We got thumbs up from one, some thumbs ups. Okay. I'm getting enough thumbs ups and nods, and I'm going to say, let's do it. Go ahead and put your hands down just so that I remind myself to put my hands down. Okay. How did this go for everybody?
It wasn't too bad once you started thinking about it.
Yeah. Did anyone find any challenges with this?
Yeah.
I was going to say the opposite. It was faster for me than scores. I get so in my head because scores is so massive, and I write a paragraph and I get overwhelmed and I put it away and I come back to it I try another paragraph and I put it away. And so
Mhm.
this one, I'm 5 lines in. I feel much more successful.
That's awesome. That's so good. Did anybody feel like they learned something about their business by doing this? We have some nods. I felt like I did a little bit, actually. Just being able to write some things down. I'll share what I did just to have some accountability and show. So what I ended up doing was I ended up rearranging a couple things and adding this community piece to mine. But like I put together a position statement. I found myself struggling because I really wanted to branch into my products. What do I make? What do I make? What do I make? You know, but I kept forcing myself to think, no, what am I as a business first? And so I put out a statement that my goal, my position is to provide my customers with yummy, healthy bread products that are priced and packaged with the intent of becoming go-to everyday breads. My niche, I wanted to say that I make small batches of bread with locally sourced or homemade products, fresh milled wheat and rye, fresh churned butter and buttermilk, locally harvested honey, locally sourced maple syrup, homemade garlic salt. And then I wanted to make sure I added the community thing because it's a big thing for me. And I believe that being a part of the community means giving back to it as much as it gives me. So a cornerstone of my business is always have a program running that gives a portion of my proceeds back to a charity or to help the environment or something. Does anybody have anything they want to share? Or does anybody want to share what they came up with?
There's some comments in the chat box.
Okay. Oh, Gail says, I learned that my business is inextricably tied in with the social volunteering ethic. Oh, interesting. I'm at a market. I'm a farmer's market manager, and I actually move into different niches to fill gaps in our market products, maple syrup, flower bouquets, breads, as well as the products I raise. That's really cool, actually. Social volunteering ethic. I like the way you put that. Is there anything else you want to share with that, Gail?
I just realized I related so well to what you were saying about how you thought about your business, because the volunteering, sustaining our market is so much of a part of how I do this. And that actually is the engine for me to keep doing what I do. That helps me work hard. And so, you know, I know that it has to be practical and I want to make money and all the rest, but if I took out the ethic, I wouldn't have anything left.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. And I think when you realize that, it's something that you have to make sure you write down. Because writing it down makes it an official part. You know, if you put it in your plan, then that becomes, you know, as important as your products.
Tom, I can share my positioning statement.
Please do.
Okay, I have homemade salsa that I've been making for over 30 years. I was encouraged by my family to start selling it in 2020. And basically that has been actually what I use when I talk about it at the farmer's market, where you're saying it in within 15 seconds, you want to sell your product. It seems to, when you tell people that it's a family-owned, basically business, I mean, the kids don't own it. It's just me and my husband, but the kids show up at the farmer's market. They hang out with us. They help sell it, you know, with me there. So we still are doing our due diligence and making sure that we're doing our direct sales and stuff. And I'm there because it's my business. But I think it also sets up that the kids enjoy it. I mean, I have one who is a graphic designer. He's designed all our labels. So we've, you know, it definitely is a family-owned business, even though the kids aren't technically on the business end of it.
But that is a really core element of so many cottage food, you know, producers, isn't it though? Our stories are very similar and how we got started. The whole I used to do XYZ. Everybody told me it was great. Everybody told me they'd pay for it. I said, nah. And then they said, no, you should try it. And then I realized, holy cow, they're right. So here I am. You know, that's a common story. The other common story, family and community. Your chosen or your blood family, regardless. When people go to farmers markets, that's what they want to hear. You know, and so I think that's really important and cool that you put all that in there clearly. Anybody else have any other ahas or things they want to share from this one? Oh no, Amy. That stinks. But you know, Amy said it's sad her kids don't want to have anything to do with her business, but is there a chance that you have a chosen kids that you can bring in there? Other people that can be interested in helping you out, being part of your community? I guess your kids are chosen kids, but kind of like the chosen family concept. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next section, next writing section. So this first one, like I said, we did mostly on just the business. What is the core? Next one will focus a little bit more on our products. Again, these questions, you're gonna have to choose which ones fit into this category for you. As a reminder, we're gonna do kind of products next, and then after we'll talk about who our customers are. So part of your products may also be then putting in like a sales objective or the prices, or how you're gonna find out how to price it. So decide which pieces of this you want to pull it in, but let's spend the next 10 minutes focusing in on what our products are and how that fits into our business plan. And let's go for it. 10 minutes. We have about 3 minutes left in this section. Okay, welcome back, everybody. Feel when I do this like I'm slowly waking everybody up from nap time, even though I know it's not nap time. I feel like I need to be quiet and slowly raise my voice and say, yay. Anyway, welcome back. For those of you that raise your hands, you can lower them again just so that you don't forget. How'd that go for everybody? Again, open dialogue, no need to hit the chat if you don't want to. Any challenges? Any things that you unexpectedly were surprised by?
One of the things that I had thought of in the last couple days, and I forgot to ask John, the speaker, this morning, but most of my food I make is kosher. And I'm just wondering if that's an advantage for me. And if I had it certified as kosher food. Almost everything I make is kosher.
I think that's a great advantage.
It's-
Possibly. I mean, that could go kind of also into like your niche, you know, something that makes you unique, something that makes you stand out. Are you in a community where there are a lot of people that would want kosher products?
No, not really. I'm down here in southeastern Minnesota, mainly German. So Rochester's close, 20 minutes away, 20 miles. That would be the closest where there'd be any Jewish community, you know. So
Mhm.
that'd be about it, unless I, you know, came to the metro area and did a farmer's market there.
I personally feel like if you have something like that, that you can and should put that out there. Because even though you may not be in a community where it is heavily looked for or desired, you never know when there might be somebody that's like, oh, wow, finally somebody who's kosher. You know, it's also an opportunity for you to educate people on something that maybe they're not as knowledgeable in. You know,
Yeah.
definitely throw that out there. You know, I think it's a great opportunity,
Okay.
and it definitely gives you something.
I
Yep.
know also people think of kosher food as pure food. So they would think kosher pure food, yeah, just even though they're not Jewish, that still, that would draw them perhaps.
There are a lot of people who eat kosher that are not Jewish.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I would think being in the Rochester area might be, if you could somehow be able to contact people who are there for medical reasons for a short time,
Mhm.
who don't know where to go
Mhm.
for the foods of their choice. You know, I mean, there's the hotels, there's other places where folks can stay. And if you could, I don't know if you can just drop off flyers or business cards or something. You know, it might solve a problem for folks who are there temporarily.
On your website,
that
you might want to explain what kosher means.
Mhm.
Also, you would want to specify if it's a kosher kitchen, do you keep a kosher kitchen? How exactly are you kosher? Because some glatt kosher people might not feel, you know, it depends on how kosher they keep their kitchens.
Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I'm in the process of still looking for a kitchen around the area. So yeah, when I find one that, you know, have it certified, however you do that.
I am going along with what Shelley said. I would also say that if you're like in a market or something like that, putting up a sign at your booth that says, you know, my products are kosher. What does that mean? So that when people walk by, they see right there in front of them what it is. So they don't have as many of opportunities to be unaware of what it means. It's just right there for them, and it's something you can be proud about.
Good idea. Yeah,
Cool.
I like them.
Any other things that maybe somebody didn't expect would become a part of their product? I know for me, I was struggling. I was like, okay, what all fits into this section? And then I realized that I wanted to talk about packaging considerations, you know, and how packaging is an important part of my product, because I'm trying to decrease my use of plastic film packaging and trying to find actual compostable products or recyclable products. And that's important to my customers. And I was like, oh, this is something I should probably think about as part of my product as well.
I offer customers a chance to bring back their jars. It's benefit for me. And then I give them a 50-cent discount on their salsa. So it's a win-win for me and for the customer, because right now jars cost more than 50 cents a jar if you do the math.
Yeah.
And customers love it. They say, oh, you're recycling, so they love it.
I think a lot of people think of that kind of thing as it's part of the business, but that's just as much a part of your product as it is a part of your business. You know, that's cool. I do a plastic bag recycling program. I found a local nonprofit that recycles plastic bags, and that's one of the only things they do. And so this last year, I encouraged people to bring any of their plastic bags from home. And then I said, as an encouragement to bring my own plastic bags back, that for every plastic bag of my own that was returned, I would donate $1 to the neighborhood organization that ran my farmer's market. And I ended up being able to donate I think it was over 30 pounds of bags. Ultimately, I can't remember the details. But I think $162 got donated to the neighborhood organization. It was a great educational opportunity, but also a good way of getting the plastic bags out of the trash. And it helped my customers feel a little bit better about buying stuff that was in plastic bags that they knew they had a hard time recycling. Yeah, it is a lot of bags. My whole bedroom was full of bags. My mom was like, Tom, your bedroom's going to be full of bags. And I'm like, it's okay, Mom, it's for the environment. Okay, let's see, we got here. Oh, we got a comment from Amy. Francis, market is artisan. She said, many of us appreciate that rather than the quick commercial made products.
One
Okay.
thing I think a lot about is affordability too. We're in a smaller city, and there are the demographics are slightly lower income. So there's always a balance between being an artisan or a niche product and making products that are affordable for the community. And
Right.
this year I'm thinking about that specifically for the flower bouquets. Our flower seller just retired. And so I'm thinking about making, and like even a $10 price point can be a little expensive for someone in the community who just wants to bring home some beauty. So just thinking about flowers that are less expensive to grow. I know this isn't Cottage Foods, but it's just an example. Thinking of things that are less expensive to grow, take a little bit less time, and can still make a really nice display is one of the things that's driving my thinking about this season. That's
a really important thing to mention because, we have this struggle between what to charge people for our products and what they're worth. And for those who know me and my time here with the association, there's a lot of discussion that we like to have about the pricing of my bread because I price it lower than what I probably need to or should. And this last year, one of the pieces at Cornerstone, if you noticed in my position statement, was that I want my bread to become a person's go-to and everyday bread. And I feel like pricing it at $10 is this magical point where people start thinking of it as a specialty or a splurge. And I want them to think about it instead as just a high-end, pricier version of what they make their sandwiches with. And it's okay to do that as a replacement. For a while, I was really struggling with that, but I started realizing though, but I also sell other breads that are definitely more expensive than they need to be, like my cinnamon loaves at $12 or my pull-apart breads at $15, and I've been able to start offering products that are more expensive that offset the fact that some of my other products might be a little bit less. And so that was an interesting thing that I realized in this past year, that you don't have to make everything the same top price as it should be. You might be able to balance out some of your finances by doing that, or having something that's a little bit more expensive that's a splurge that'll allow you to make something else a little bit more everyday. On that note, I want to give us opportunity to move on into the next section. The next section we're going to talk about is customers. Now, this is a broad section where you're going to be able to branch out in a lot of the stuff that we talked about here in the last 2 days at the conference. So not only who is your customer, but where are they? How are you going to find them? How are you going to reach out to them? This could be also your sales venue. Do I plan on doing it online? Do I want to do pop-ups? Do I want to do farmers markets? Do I want to have a website? Do I want to have a social media presence? This all impacts and is impacted by who your customers are. Are your customers younger? Are they older? Are they on social media? Are they on Facebook? Notice I did say there's a difference between those two, because to me, Facebook and social media are very different things. Are you just going to be at a market and want people to walk by and find you? Do you want to reach out and grab them and try to bring them in? So think about that whole aspect of things for this next section. And then we'll come back in 10 minutes and we will reach out then to that final admin, goals, future planning, expenses type of thing. So see you back here in 10 minutes. Those of you who already raised your hand, feel free to move on to future sections. You don't want you at all to feel like you have to stop and wait for the rest of the groups. So keep going on those other sections. And we'll probably be meeting back here in 5 minutes then, unless a whole bunch of people raise their hand. I'm enjoying this chat right now. I hope everybody else is that's watching. At least a smile on Muriel's face is promising. Okay, so we are back. my coffee is done, which means we're close to the end. We'll make this review section real quick because I want to give us time to do this last piece. But I hope any big ahas that anybody wants to share real quickly about this section, about your customers, where you're going to sell, where are they, how are they, media, social media.
My customers are the bread and butter from the farmer's market. That's where I make the most money.
Cool. Did anybody do a specific write about, say, social media presence or social media plan based off of some of the stuff we heard, earlier from like Michelle?
That's more of my secondary customers.
Okay.
I do see that like Facebook tends to, well, then we'll bring them out to the farmers market. So I guess they could also be my primary customers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've gotten there that I'm going to use my social media platforms to definitely promote my business more. And after listening to some of the stuff we've listened to the last day or so, definitely going to start making some more definite plans and schedules on how to promote and post all that stuff as well.
Something I've kind of seen when I talk to cottage food producers is there seems to be kind of two ways of approaching our industry. One is through markets and pop-ups, and another is through custom orders, and I think that really drives and changes, how you market to people, how you do social media, how your products are priced, how you run your business, how you package, a lot of different things. So I'm sure that really impacts the way that you write up those sections of your business plan.
I think it's also dependent on what your product is. Like as a sugar cookie maker, a lot of what I do is super customized. And so I can't do customization on the fly at a farmer's market the way that I can do it if I have time at home to create it. So
right.
I think that's just another aspect.
Right. And I think it also changes sometimes the social media.
I've definitely seen both sides of it. When I first started out, all I did was markets. I was only working part-time because I didn't need to work full-time. So most of my customers were market-based, and I didn't have to do as much promoting or marketing just because I was at the markets. One year I did 4 markets a week. I had a Monday market, a Tuesday market, not Monday, I had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. All summer long, I had 4 markets, and I was burnt out at the end of the season, but with the last couple of years, not so much because of COVID, but just because of other lifestyle change with my husband semi-retired, and I've had to go back to work full time. So now the markets have gone away because I don't have the time to bake for them and do them. So now I'm trying to figure out how to market and promote through social media and my website in order to keep customers coming in, even the ones I used to have at the markets.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been my struggle, trying to figure out that way around social media to get more customers in.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting point to make, but it also goes to show that the importance of coming back and revisiting this on a regular basis, because your business plan and the way you run your business is going to change, obviously, based off of where you are, how you evolve, what life does that causes you to have to take a back seat for a tiny bit, or pushes you forward unexpectedly. So again, remember, these are live documents. We should be coming back and looking at them on a regular basis. Writing it once is not meaning that we're done. It's just a way of making sure that we are constantly challenging ourselves and doing a check-in on what our business is. Now, I'd want to spend another good 10-minute chunk on more of the administrative side of things. I think we're still going to do maybe about 2 minutes, but I want you to find one more piece of your business plan that you feel is most important to force yourself to sit down and do right now. Because I know all of us are going to have great intentions of sitting down and finishing these up possibly in the next week. And there's a good chance that 50% of us may not do that. So since we have 2 minutes of me breathing down your Zoom, let's find the one thing on our business plan that you think is the most important for you to force yourself to still take a look at before the end of this conference. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes actually. So 3 minutes starting now. You have 30 seconds to change your world. And that is time. It is 4:31, which officially means the conference is over, as well as the session. I hope that this last session was really good for everybody to be able to reflect on everything that we've learned in the last 2 days, but then also give you the opportunity to just kind of take some peaceful time and write some stuff down and start putting together an actual document that helps you to see your business as a business. And hopefully also inspire you to challenge yourself in the next year and to see what the future is for your business. So it has been a lot of fun for me to work with you guys today. And if you have any questions, you can definitely get a hold of me. I'm going to do a real quick screen share just so that I can officially show you the end of my keynote. that has my contact information on it. So there. You can reach me at tom@behindthebreadbox.com. My website is behindthebreadbox.com, and I sell at the Midtown Farmers Market in Minneapolis on Saturdays from May through October. But feel free to get a hold of me anytime, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'm going to hand this off now officially back to you, Shelley.
Thanks, Tom. You did awesome. It's very interesting.